Welcome to Beyond the Closing Table. I'm your host, Michael Martin, and I'm here to interview top producing real estate agents, top producing loan officers, and successful business people. I'm super excited today to have my new friend, Miss Anna Powell, here. So thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, so
that's perfect.
We just kind of met recently. I DM'd you after just to ask you some questions about something, and next thing you know, we had a Zoom conversation about AI and what you're utilizing it, how you're using it, and you agreed to be on a panel, which we did yesterday.
I know. My whole week has been with you, I think. Wednesday and Thursday.
Too much Michael. So hopefully not. But I've really enjoyed to get to know you. I'm excited to learn more about you today and share this with our audience. So
thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So let's talk about a couple different things. I always just generally at the beginning kind of ask, like, how in the world did you get into real estate and what were you doing beforehand? And for you, where are you from?
Yeah, so I'm actually from Fuquay-Varina, North Carolina.
I've heard of that place.
Have you heard of that place? Yeah, a lot of people have now. I tell people I didn't get very far, so I maiden name Powell. My sweet husband didn't make me change it when we got married, and I live off of Old Powell Road. So I literally tell people, like, I did not get very far. I went to Beaufort, South Carolina after college for a few years, and then made my way back home. Yep. So South Carolina is like a whole nother country, so it's really exotic travels for a couple years. But I actually was a musical theater major in college. I hated working nights and weekends. So when I moved back to this area to be back home with my parents, and I just kind of knew life was going to bring me back this way, I just arbitrarily got my real estate license. My dad had been a developer. He retired in 2008, like many developers did. And I just got it because I was like, it'll give me something to do while I figure out what it is that I, want to do in the long run. And then, I don't know, just kind of got bit by the bug as you do, but it was a very arbitrary decision.
Wow.
Where'd
you go to school?
I went to Elon.
Okay. Very good.
Elon was great. It was only like an hour from home. It's right here in North Carolina, but it recruits heavily from out of state. So most of my girlfriends were from like DC, Maryland, New Jersey, all these places. And so what's really amazing is the real estate license coincided about the same time that they all became first-time home buyers here, because the job market was so bad when we graduated. Most of them had been in internships while they'd been at Elon with Credit Suisse and Red Hat. So a lot of them were here. So my first 2 years of real estate was strictly selling Elon kids' first homes.
Wow.
Which was awesome.
And so they were buying properties here in this market?
Yes. Okay. And so I saw the power. I mean, I always understood real estate. I bought right out of college. I flipped a home like right out of college. So I always understood the wealth building aspect of real estate, which is really where I come from. I tell people, I'm not for everyone because I don't really care what your kitchen countertops look like. I want to know what your equity position is going to look like. But those kids, like, they came down here, took those jobs, they all bought houses in Delta Ridge, right? West Raleigh. All of them had the same townhouse in Delta Ridge. Most of them now are migrating back home because they're having kids and they're ready to be with their families. But they left our area with hundreds of thousands of dollars in pocket. Whereas a lot of our friends that went back to major markets originally, they didn't have that opportunity. A lot of those folks, no shame on the path, but like still renting, still working on that first time home buyers. We know that age has creeped up to 38, which I'm 36. So they're right there in line. But it was really cool to see those kids come down here and just bust it open, Yeah. It's really awesome. They took a risk and it paid off.
So when did you got your real estate license then, but is that when you got fully started into real estate full-time?
I guess I dabbled a little bit more for those years. So, very typical, I think doing $3-4 million a year, which is great volume when you have another spouse that's working. And I had our first in 2017, Trip came that year. 2019, my husband left his job so that I could go all in.
Yeah.
And so that was really, I feel like the first year where it was this is not a hobby. This is what we're doing.
So he's part of your team as well?
Yeah. He's like our Gal Friday.
Okay.
No, he's amazing. Right now, he's really been focusing in the database. He came from outside sales, sold power tools for Makita for years and years, used to being on job sites, used to making calls. So we put him on the phones more recently, manages all of our online lead services, things like that. But he put signs in for years, lock boxes, ran errands. I mean, you name it.
I
he
know
did
a
it.
fair amount of top agents that first husbands just love doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah. We had twins in 21. So
is he more of an introvert than you?
No.
Okay.
He's a golden retriever as well.
Okay, wow.
High expressive, you know, and a people person. But also, you know, just it didn't make sense for him to be in the outside sales world and maybe in the outside sales world. I always remind agents we're selling the highest, you know, the highest paid product in the world. So when we were comparing whose sales route were we going to go down, we just thought houses were a little bit more expensive than power tools, and it made more sense to kind of focus in this direction.
Well, and obviously he's all in and happy to do it. So
I couldn't do it without him.
That's great.
Don't tell him that.
As long as he doesn't watch this.
Okay?
So my wife actually worked with me for 3 years. It must have been like 2008, 9, and 10 maybe. They were amazing years in the mortgage business. 2008, 9, and 10, right? So she was in the advertising world, took a break from that, was having a stressful situation, and the advertising world is that way anyway. Didn't really like the company she was working at, and you know, she'd come home and she'd be like crying all the time. And I'm like, this is absurd. If you're gonna cry, you might as well be in the mortgage business.
That's right. Misery loves company, right?
So she joined my team because, you know, she'd always be like, I could do such a better job than that person that's working for you, or that person that's not working for you, that you could do this help. So she did, and she really was fantastic. It was great having her on the team. Well, she was my team at that point. And she didn't love it. she did not. It was the thing that she didn't love is that with her job at the time, she could shut it off. Right. And ours never stops ever. I don't care what you're doing, right? It never stops. Even when you're on vacation, even when you know, I'm blessed like you too, to have a team now where I have to get involved a lot less when I'm on vacation. Like I was at Bald Head last week. I worked for a couple hours almost every morning. I also get up way before everyone else in my house anyway. So what else am I going to do? Might as well get some stuff knocked
I know
out.
that we were talking about that 5 o'clock to 7 a.m. as like magic hour for me. I can get done what it would take me probably 3 or 4 hours during the workday with my phone ringing.
Sure.
That I can do in, you know, an hour and a half.
Yeah. So anyway, with her specifically, she was this guy that had been in the previous company she with, decided to go open his own advertising agency, and he was like, do you want to come work with me? And at the time it didn't make sense because she was going to be like a contract employee. And so she didn't do that for a while. Then they kind of grew a little bit, and they're like, okay, now will you come? And so she was like, can I get the heck out of this mortgage business and go do that? So she did. So now she owns that advertising firm with another couple partners. So so hers doesn't always stop either now, right?
Well, you have to do work-life integration, right?
That's right.
We're talking about that this morning at the gym. It was like your work-life balance, and I think that word is underplayed now. It's integration. How do you make work and life go hand in hand together? And it's challenging when you have spouses involved, but it can also be really rewarding when you can make it work.
Yeah, you know, I think it's so important, right? Everybody's heard the saying, and it seems like many dads have said this to their kids or moms. I don't know, but you know, find a job that you love and you'll never work a day.
In your life.
Right? I don't know that that's 100% true, but it certainly is. You know, it's certainly way better when you actually enjoy going to work and you find pleasure and you know it fulfills you, versus you feeling like you have to go do this thing.
Correct.
Right? I was watching something the other day, and oh, I know what it was. I was somewhere and I was looking at a job site, and these guys were resting. It was actually, we were involved in, they're building a house, and these dudes were, you know, taking their siesta, laying down, taking a nap, and you know, kind of taking a break. And I was telling my wife, I was like, I worked on a lot of job sites when I was younger. My dad owned a architectural firm with building company and stuff. And so my summer jobs and spring break, I was not a good student, so I got to work during spring break. So we're working on houses. I did a lot of that, right? And so I remember watching these people and going, oh my God, I remember thinking, being in that role, being in that job, I hated it. Like I did not like that job at all. I mean, it's hard manual labor. And I didn't know what the hell I was doing anyway, even though I'd done it for summers. And I'm like, I remember seeing that guy going, I remember every time you're like looking at your watch, is it the next break?
Is it done? Yeah.
Like, is it break time yet? Or is it lunchtime yet? Or is it the afternoon break? Or is it 5 o'clock yet?
Right.
Like, I'm ready to get the hell out of here. It's like a prison almost, right?
Yeah.
And I certainly feel blessed that I've, found a career and business that to me brings me a ton of fulfillment.
Absolutely.
And I love having a team that also brings that in too, that we do our best. We haven't always done our best. We do our best to hire the right people that where this gives them energy instead of taking it away. And it doesn't always work that way. There's stressful situations, but that makes a big difference. So I wanted to kind of jump in. You actually are going to generous enough to spend some time with us this afternoon to talk about working genius. And I know this is a big passion of yours, and it kind of goes a little bit about what we were just talking about, how finding things that really give you energy. So if you want to, probably most people have no idea what working genius is. So if you want to give a basic overlay of that, and then what it's made, the impression or difference it's made in your business and in your life.
Yeah. So, I mean, we talk about that burnout. In fact, like when I sit on coaching calls with agents or entrepreneurs in general, because I actually love coaching outside of the real estate space now, because the principles are all the same when it comes to entrepreneurship. Everyone is looking for that. How do I avoid burnout? How do I avoid that point in my career where it turns into I have to just put my head down and grind? Because shocker, most of us are not good at that in the entrepreneurial space, because a lot of us are idea men or idea women, or we want something, we're craving that new shiny object. And real estate is the worst because it will just feed you shiny object after shiny object after shiny object. But we do know consistency is key. I think the caveat to consistency is key is consistency in the right places is actually key. And so working genius is an assessment. A lot of people love DISC. I love DISC. I'm a high I. I'm the golden retriever, right? And I love being around high Ds, drivers that will do that part of my life for me. And it's great to know that about me. I love the strengths finders. Tina Call turned me on to that. Positivity is my number one strengths finder. It shows up. It's been 10 years apart, those assessments, and it constantly shows up. Again, it's great to know those things about ourselves. The reality, though, is that we work with people every day. Whether you're a solo agent or you are on a team, running a team, you're working with people every single day.
Sure.
Working Genius basically breaks down and says there are 6 parts of the working process. That is the widget. From the early ability to see potential in people or things or processes that have not been explored, all the way down to the person that finishes the SOP, gets it into the Google Drive, and makes sure it's there for everyone next time. There are 6 working processes, and we all have 2 of them that we are naturally gifted in, that God gave us 2 of those things that are ours. And then 2 of those things frustrate us. We don't get a lot of joy out of them. And then 2 of those things, we are just kind of like, we can lend a hand when we need to. And Pat Lantoni that put this system together, who is a genius, basically said you should be spending as much time in those geniuses as possible, lending the competency when you have to, and then trying to actually avoid those places where you get frustrated. And that was a huge relief to me, because tenacity, which is the very end of the process, is very frustrating to me. I'll share this with your group later. I can get 95 yards down the field, appropriate for today, as football season's kicking off. I can get to the 5-yard line and I'm good. I can walk off the field. I can look at all the things that we've accomplished and I'm happy as a clam. Thank goodness the bulk of my team finds joy in the last 15 feet, because I get none there. I'm done. I'm ready to move on to the next one. But I would get so frustrated trying to finish the SOP, trying to get this last little thing corrected. And now I know that that's just not where I need to spend my time. People need me running the ball down the field, and I trust now my people to get it into the end zone, because that is what matters.
Yeah.
It's just, it doesn't do it for me.
Wow. That's pretty, it's interesting to think of yourself in that way, when you're learning more about these, and because you can see yourself in each one of them a little bit, right? But there's some that you're like, whoa, that's
Correct. Correct.
So that's your biggest one is what you, so I'm
an inventor, which is the most recognized genius. We all know, we know that in American history, we've always applauded people that came up with ideas. And my second one is enablement, which is the ability to help people.
Okay.
I anticipate people's needs. In fact, I think I'm sitting here because you messaged me and I was like, what, can I come in and do this for your team? It's so life-changing. So I have, I get a lot of joy from that. My husband has a frustration of that the enablement.
Okay.
And that was really fun to learn. And then we both have a frustration of tenacity.
Okay.
So it's so funny. It always comes around tax season. We've got 2 or 3 little documents that are left, right? And our tax season is in the fall, let's be real.
Yeah.
But like those 2 or 3 little documents that are left. And I'm like, why can't you just get the little document? Why can't you just finish the project? And he's the same way. He gets zero joy out of finishing projects.
Wow.
And so we have to rely on some leverage there a lot of times.
That's
but Pat's thing is like, it's great to know what you're good at, but it's also really good to give yourself grace in places that you're not. And then it all ties into that who, not how theory. Cause then it's like, it's not how are you going to do these things that you're struggling with. It's who are you going to plug in with to help you do all the processes that you need.
Yeah. Who are you going to find the running back to carry the last 5 yards, right? Because you're going to get it most of the way, but hey, let's finish this thing out.
Correct. Exactly. And there's a lot of power in that. And when I coach, most of the time people are asking, how do I do this? How do I do this? How do I do this? And I will always say, let's change the word to who. Who do you need to do this? Who do we need to find to plug you into? Who do we need to find to support you to get this done? Because the how in areas that you're not naturally gifted it's draining you from scaling and moving faster.
Recognizing that has got to be the most important part of all that.
It's so freeing.
Right? Because, well, it gives you freedom to be like, oh, well, it may be me, but it doesn't mean that's not the answer.
Correct.
Like, I don't have to be good at that because I'm also talented at these other things.
I mean, one of my dear friends and my sponsor at EXP is Ashley Bomarito. She's a WI. She's very high on that genius scale. She walks into Chipotle and she's like, why does Chipotle not charge per topping here? I'm just so curious as to why that's not their system. And I'm over there being like, who cares? Like, let's just get going. We've got things to do. And she talks about how finding this was like life-changing for her because she always felt she just had her head in the clouds. She struggled sometimes to feel like she was part of working processes because that part is a more quiet part of the process. And so it's amazing to hear people that just say like, I just see myself so differently. I know my value now. And I know when to show up in group settings to really move the needle forward. And there's a ton of power in that.
Wow. That's cool. So it sounds like it's changed your business, but also your life.
Yeah. 100% life work integration.
Yeah.
All the things. Yeah. When people ask, because we went from, our team went from just me in 21 with a director of operations. I think we sold 55 houses that year. We added 2 team members at the end of 21.
Were you EXP then?
Yes. So okay. I didn't start a team until I moved to EXP. I was a solo agent until that point. It was July of 21. So I think we've just now hit our 4-year mark. We knew we had to scale. I showed a house a week after I delivered my twins via C-section, and that's when my light bulb went off, and I was like, this probably isn't sustainable for the rest of your life. What are we going to do to fix it? Most people start teams. It was also COVID. You could not screw anything up. Please, I couldn't screw anything up. If I spent too much money, we made it back. If we made an error, the market fixed it for us, So it was a really incredible time to build. But we went from those, just barely 2-3 agents by the end of 2021, 8 agents at 22, but we're sitting at a roster of close to 40 today. And when people ask, they're like, how did you grow people that fast? It was, for us, it's always been the organizational health, the working genius, the DISC profiles, that knowing our people allowed us to grow quickly. So it has changed everything.
What's amazing about that growth, and I'm telling anybody that's listening to this, you really have to understand that is gigantic growth anyway, but you've done that when the market has done the opposite.
Correct.
So that speaks to you even further. I can tell you we had our best year ever by a long shot in 2021. Mm-hmm. 2019 was awesome. 2020 was fantastic. 2021 was mind-blowing. 2022 was still a really good year, but way less for us than 2021. For the mortgage side, when rates dropped, when they shot up dramatically, it was like, whoop, all the brakes started. Fortunately, we were all purchase focused. Mm-hmm. Even in 2021, my understanding from remembering some of the data was the industry was about 75% purchase. Mm-hmm. Refinance and about 25% purchase. Yeah. And there was still a lot of purchase. There was just so many to refi. Yeah. We were the opposite of that. We did 75% purchase and 25% refi. So we weren't tied and established that because we had long relationships that we built with real estate agents and past clients. But 2022 came. Rates went up in May, roughly April, May is when they really started getting up. By June, it was total screeching halt. And it made a big impact, unfortunately, on us, and we didn't react fast enough. But for you to be able to do what you did and continue to do in a market that's been super challenging, that speaks a lot to what you've done. It sounds like, again, this people thing has really made
It is
a big difference.
Yeah,
for
I
you.
think so. And you know, we did. My mom passed away in the fall of 22. So when people kind of ask, like, you know, what was one of those big moments in your life, I share that story a lot on stages now with people, because what I saw was my team rallied around me because I had this personal trauma. And all of a sudden, all of the distractions, all of the, you know, any organization of people, you're going to have some drama, you're going to have some stumbling blocks. I mean, that's just what comes with scaling with people. But what I saw was this amazing group of humans just come together, rally underneath this just cause of, like, we can't let this business fail while Anna is going through all of this. And I shifted and I said, okay, well, if we can rally behind something bad happening, why can't we rally behind something good and positive every single day? So we really buckled down on our core values. We buckled down on our just cause, on our vision statements, on our VTO, which is an EOS term for really just long-term planning. And let's rally our people around things so that we don't have to just react, you know, and I just saw the power of the uniting of people under this just cause. I didn't want it to be a drama in my life. I wanted it to be something that we could all win.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's where my love for organizational health came in, was that period of business, which at the time was the worst thing that had ever happened. But the lessons that we took from that season of life, I mean, unbelievable opportunity.
So let's talk a little about, you brought it up, let's talk about EOS. My team and I have been running EOS since the end of 2021. Kind of joke with my integrator or implementer. I always get the two wrong. What's the one you hired?
Integrator.
Yeah. So
Good.
I don't know why they still years after that. So, but I joke with him that you know, unfortunately our business has gone down pretty much since then. Of course, the market's changed dramatically, but the way we manage our business has changed dramatically. Like with the numbers that we look at, right? So, how did you find EOS, and then, you know, how did you get involved in it, and then are you still doing that now?
Yeah. So it was EXPCon that fall of 22. I had already booked that trip, so I went. I think at that time, a lot of big teams around us were talking it. So I had heard it. I had not purchased Traction yet. I had not read the book, but I kept hearing it as a buzzword. And I heard Kyle Whissel, which I don't know if you saw this yesterday on Inman. Kyle Whissel and Dan Beer, like just absolute powerhouses in San Diego, just merged their teams together.
No, I did not see that
like
one.
Probably one of the bigger mergers that have ever happened in real estate. So the cool thing there is, like, they're very much in the same phase of, like, building as other agents. So it's cool to see what they're doing. But Kyle was like, you're never too small for EOS. Because that was my perception. I was like, these teams that are doing, you know, this was also 2022. So we were coming off some years where people were starting to see some 1 billions, right, on their volume in 21. I was like, we're just a small team in Fuquay-Varina selling $30 million of real estate. I don't need EOS. But Kyle said, he's like, you're not too small. So I grabbed the book, I read it, and all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, you can systematize everything.
Yeah.
And everything can be duplicatable and everything can scale. And that allows you the freedom to then be so human in your business, because you're not running around like a chicken with your head cut off trying to figure out what's my next step, because everything is very clear.
I just wanted to take a quick second and say thank you so much for watching our podcast so far. If you do me a huge favor before you forget about it, to like, subscribe, and if you would, just leave a quick comment about what you think of the podcast. And if you want to share it with your friends, I'd love that too. Thanks again so much. We'll finish up right now.
And so that was a really big aha, where I started to realize that it wasn't personality selling anymore that was going to get us where we wanted to go. It was going to be the systems and processes behind it. And that gave me a lot of freedom to be like, I don't have to be the gasoline to my engine anymore.
Yeah.
And I needed that. So I was tired. I was tired.
That certainly is fair. And so with EOS, like when you started, you know, putting it into your systems, like what changes did you see, you know, either immediately over the first year or so?
Sure. I think really, I mean, this is also a Dan Sullivanism, that BHAG, the big, hairy, audacious goal. I'm actually reading The Science of Scaling right now that just came out with Dr. Benjamin Hardy, and he references this BHAG too. Understanding that there has to be a shared vision for where your business is going, that every single person in your organization understands, is life-changing, particularly in real estate team building, because team building is hard because you have solo agents working underneath an umbrella. and everyone is running as an independent contractor. So I actually think that it's so well suited for our industry, because I can't tell a 1099 contract employee how we're going to do something.
Sure.
I can't even give them, please listen to me, team leaders, you can't give them production minimums legally. So I can't say you're going to sell this many houses and this is how you're going to do it. So I can unite everyone though and say, this is where we're going. We're rowing the boat in the same direction. Everyone agrees that this is the 10-year goal. Ours, we're about 7 years away from it. Now that I'm reading Dr. Hardy's book, I think we'll probably tighten this timeline a little bit. But we set the goal that we would do 565 million with as many agents as it took to do that volume within 10 years. We set that in 22.
Okay, wow.
That's when we were doing 30 million. We should close out about 125 million this year.
Wow.
And now we're looking at, instead of taking it to the 7-year mark where we should be, can we scale that back down to 3.5 or 4 years from now? And we're gonna do what we have to do it.
That's pretty amazing.
It is amazing. Yeah. But on days when I'm like, the market's hard, or on days when I'm like, this is not worth it, you have an $8 million month with the overhead that we have, and you're like, I could have gone and sold 3 houses with no splits and made this same profit margin. Those are the days that I have to say, but this is the goal.
That's right.
And this is where we're going. And it keeps those reactive moments of entrepreneurship at bay most days. By far the most important thing EOS gave me.
That's great. I appreciate you sharing that too. So a couple of things we've talked about that we have a little bit in common is René Rodriguez, mentor and a friend of mine for, almost 20 years probably. And you went to Amplify, right? You went to one of his house?
I went to his house.
Okay, yeah. I haven't been to since you started doing it at home, I haven't done those yet.
Yes, I went to his house and it was amazing.
Yes, he is an incredibly brilliant guy, specifically about understanding psychology around decisions and what you say and how to say it. Tell us a little bit about what you learned at Amplify. I actually haven't read the book. I just downloaded it. I've had the book for a while, but I've gone to Amplify twice. So at first I was like, I don't need to read it, but I'm like, I definitely need to read this.
It. Yeah.
So I'm down. I meant to get to it last week while I was at the beach, but it didn't happen. I was reading another book that everybody's been talking about forever that I hadn't got to yet, which was The Letman Theory. So
that was really this summer. I feel like that was everywhere.
Yeah.
I also read it because I was like, I just want to be relevant. What's everyone talking about?
Very, so I don't read books, I listen to them.
Yeah, same.
And so,
I should put read in parentheses for sure. I
always say I have to have people read them to me, but, ECU guy. So, but we, so it's funny, I've talked to my daughter about this because I told her I really want her to read this book. I think it'd be really good for her. And we were listening to it on the way to the beach. My wife was doing some work in the passenger seat. I was driving. So I was listening to it. My daughter, of course, had headphones in. But my wife did, after she finally got done some work, she was like, I was actually listening to some of that. And she doesn't like to do, she calls them smart books.
Yeah.
She loves, anything. It's just a cycle of trash reading.
Yeah,
she loves it.
Yeah.
And so she doesn't like to do that stuff, but she was actually getting some value out of this, I could tell. And I know for sure for her, it would be helpful.
Yeah.
It's helpful to me. And I've read a lot of books like this for years, but it was really eye-opening. But going back to Amplify, it's a book I definitely want to read.
Yeah.
And Renee, if you ever watch this episode, I will be sure by the time
it'll be read by the time
it'll be
it's
read.
out.
That's right.
We'll make sure.
That's right. So.
Yeah, I saw, Renee and Brian Ellington, who's our director of education at EXP for the whole company, are buddies. And so I think Tina had gone to Renee's house already, Tina Call, who was a mentor and a dear friend of mine. And whenever EXPCon rolled around last fall in Miami, she was like, oh, they're bringing René Rodriguez in to do a workshop. You need to make sure you get on the list for this. And just a couple weeks before he left, she called me. She was like, hey, Renee agreed. We're going to bring up a group of women from our company. And when I say like a group of women, I mean like just unbelievable the amount of talent, skill, financial standing of this group of women. And she said, I want you to come with us. So I literally was like, here is my credit card. Who can I call? Who do I give this money to? Like, there's no chance I won't be there. So we went in February to Minneapolis. It was like record cold. Like it was record lows. Like Minneapolis is cold, but this was even the locals were like, I can't believe you're here. And again, I had that musical theater background. And even though I had read the book, I still thought, okay, well, what I'm going to get out of this is I'm going to just kind of fine tune the way that I present. I'm going to fine tune some body work and some cadence. And that's what I was expecting to get out of it. I don't know if it was just that room of women. I don't know what it was at dinner the very first night, because you do this amazing 7-course meal. Every course a toast is given.
He obviously brings like a chef in.
Oh, and she's amazing. Yeah. And every part of the courses, they all tie together. It's so curated. It's really amazing. And,
did he have wine at his dinner?
No.
Oh, you didn't think so?
No, I don't think we had wine. But the food was phenomenal. Yeah, amazing. Phenomenal. And I can still hear the voice of the chef. She's amazing who did ours. But we went around, did our toast, and it got to me, and I was so ready to talk about what I was going to share, that as a perpetual high achiever, I just never have felt like I've been enough, that there was always that next thing that was coming, that I would always get on the fringe of doing something well, but never kind of break into that proficiency or prolific proficiency. And I just turned into a blubbering idiot. And really my breath started to do this deregulation, just trauma. And I'm not this woo-woo person. I'm roll up your sleeves, get to work. But truly just I think trauma that my body had just been holding on to from a loss of my mom, children being born, running a business, all of the things. And the guard just came down, and it was the most transformational 2 days, just really going into who are you? What is your story? What's made you who you are today? And how can you use that to tell it to other people, to not just gain influence, but to truly help and heal others around you? And in that setting, it was just unbelievable. I tell people it was one of those big ahas. On the plane ride home, I realized what a big opportunity that had been. And so have been working on as many opportunities to share that story this year as possible. So speaking on a couple big stages to say, hey, I've got stories to tell. I've got experiences that you can learn from. If I can do it, you can do it. So
that's fantastic.
It's amazing, but he's just an amazing person, and the way he works things out of you. For the better. It's just unbelievable.
I went to Amplify the first time, I think, in January of 2021 in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. It was a weird time. Mm-hmm. Of course, it was in Florida, so COVID never existed down there.
It was like Greenville, South Carolina, North Carolina.
It was interesting for sure. It was blown away by the experience. I didn't know anybody that was going to be there, but when I got there were people that I knew from coaching. Of course, it was great to see René again. And then I ended up talking to him while we were there. I was like, have you ever thought about doing one in Charleston? And he goes, no, we haven't, but that'd probably be a great thing. He's like, would you help us a little bit? So I don't think it was later that year. It may have been 2022. We'd kind of connected on it, and he ended up doing one in Charleston, and I brought Nicole and my team with me, and my wife came with us, not to be in the thing, but she just came to hang out because we're going to stay a couple extra days. But she did get to come to the dinner on Friday night, and that, see the Thursday or Friday night, that was, just such an incredible experience. Mm-hmm. To witness to what you're doing, the questions, that how you're responding, and that it's one of those amazing things ever.
Yes, it really is, and that's been the story of my life since July 21. Is people keep putting me in these rooms with these amazing people, and my world has just expanded and gotten so big, and so then the effect is you want to turn around and you want to say, how can I expand someone else's world? Because this is not a girl from Fuquay-Varina, North Carolina. I just didn't know the world could be so big, but real estate has broadened that world because of the people that we've been connected to. And I am very grateful. It's not lost on me being able to sit here and have these conversations, how blessed I am that people have expanded my borders.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, it's important to be grateful for those opportunities, because you just never know when the next one's going to come. Correct. And that you've had it and so many others haven't. Mm-hmm. So that's fantastic. So let's talk a little bit about your core values as a team. This kind of goes a little bit back to EOS, right? It's probably where you guys discovered them. I always say discover them because it's not like you're creating them. They're already there.
No, they're there.
Yeah.
You just have to define. Yeah, we have 7, which if you haven't set yours and you can call them back, please call them back. But ours got so, a team of 8 at the time, ours got so, our team members were so opinionated about that we had some people being like, I don't know if I can be on this team if this one does not make the list, right? So we have 7. Communicative is really big for us, and our TCs love to remind our agents that that's one of our core values. Loyalty is one for us. I can go through all of them. Learning based is one. Intentional. My favorite, personally, fun, empathetic, and intentional are 7. But the way that we came about them is, and this is the instruction of the EOS process, is you really go through your team members. And for us, it was so fun because we did consult with some of our vendor partners that work with us that know us well. And we brought them into the conversation as well. But we went through all of our team members and said, what are the characteristics of these team members that if you could isolate the best of the best in them would create a super agent and a super teammate and a super leader? And we then had all the synonyms and we had to start paring the synonyms down and we started calling this list. It took us, most people, they just write core values out, they stick them on a piece of paper, and that's as far as they go. For us, we understood they were going to be our HR department. They were going to hire and fire. They were going to drive the financial decisions that we made, who we hired, who we didn't. And so we took them very seriously. So we spent probably, I would say, upwards of 40 hours on this core values list. And so that's where we ended up with our 7. And that combined with our just cause of creating leaders, we see our agents, we don't say, hey, I need you to sell X amount of homes. We don't need to say, I need you to do this many from your SOI and we need you to service this many team. Our just cause for our team is creating agent leaders. We have agents on our team that want to sell 2-3 homes a year. That's it. That's all they want to do. And that's perfectly fine. They show up in the community as leaders. They show up on our team as leaders. They show up at home as leaders. So that's what we recruit to. And those core values very much were big components of what makes a great leader to us.
So you said, I've heard you say this a few different times, and maybe even said it yesterday, just cause. Where did you get that?
Simon Sinek.
Okay, got it.
I rip everything. It's from infinite game theory,
okay, got
right? It. So the idea that there is no winners or losers in business, the game is constantly changing. And so you can't have this monumental like, oh, when we sell 565 million in volume in a year, we're going to have one real estate. No, like now the bar is just going to move.
Sure.
The players are going to change. The just cause becomes what guides you. Very similar to that big, hairy, audacious goal. It's just more of the culture keeper versus the financials.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's our big culture keeper. So we want agent leaders. That's it.
Got it. That's great. I love that. When we went through and discovered our core values, it was a really, as you mentioned, a very interesting exercise. And to kind of really hone down and figure out and shave off, and they're pretty adamant, like you shouldn't have more than 6.
Yeah, I know. The 7th kills me. I always have to be like, I have 7. I'm so sorry.
It would be super cool to just have like 2.
Yes, me too, because we could kill 2.
Yes, that's right.
We could crush 2. Right.
And you said this a minute ago, and I think it's so important and crucial. Like one of the cool things about having core values, it's the lamest thing if you've got a bunch of core values on the wall or whatever and nobody knows them or nobody talks about them. It's like, what's the point anyway, right? But when you actually do live by your core values, so like you said earlier, we hire by them, we certainly train by them, we fire by them. Like at the end of the day, like if you can't meet these things, if this is not what then we've either made a mistake by hiring you, right? And the unfortunate part for us is it stinks. It's not, but ideally, you're going to find a much better place somewhere else anyway.
Alignment, right? If you're not in alignment, I can't help you.
Yeah.
And I know this now that like the way that I do things for the exact same reasons I just told you about knowing myself from the Working Genius and from Strengths Finders, I want you to go find who you're going to be in alignment with. So it's really fair. It's fair to all of us.
That's right.
That we do all, because if we get in the boat and everyone is rowing in 8 different directions, no one's going anywhere. Yeah. So it's not that it just may be that our boat's not going where you want to go, and that's perfectly fine. Yeah, because guess what? My network is very large. Let me call Michael and see who he knows in the agent community that is looking for a great buyer's agent that you're going to be a better fit for.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's how we all win, you know? So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm very passionate about the alignment piece. We've talked a lot about that this year. And I think that the market has helped maybe speed up some visuals on alignments that are not there. You know, and people have taken the last year or so and things got hard. And so it was even more important that we're in alignment. You know,
Amen.
it was easy to be in alignment when you had the tailwind of the century during COVID. It's a lot harder to keep the ducks all swimming the same direction right now.
No doubt, no doubt. We had some really good people on our team during that period of time.
Yeah.
Frankly, we needed them to be there, but we hired super fast. We didn't necessarily they weren't the best long-term fit. In fact, we had to let go of some people that we really liked,
Yeah.
that did an amazing job, but they did not fit within our core values at
100%.
all. And it was like, it just doesn't make
I've
sense.
had some amazing agents leave us this year. And I think Anna pre-enlightened period would have been like, oh, why are they leaving? Is it, you know, what did I do? What should, but the reality is that I'm cheering for them so loudly.
Sure.
Wherever it is that they need to be, because again, like I understand that like not everything is for everybody, and there's a lot of freedom in that. But the growth that it takes to understand that not everyone's going to grow in your environment, and that's not a problem with your environment. It's not a problem with them. It's just the combination sometimes doesn't work. You know.
Yeah, it's funny. A couple of the values of yours match up almost directly with ours. We utilize fanatical proactive communication. So communicating is important, but we just want to be like so over the top about it, right? And then have fun is one of our others.
Yeah,
like, you know.
That came from my sister-in-law who's on my team. That was like the number one word that kept showing up for Jim Bayer. But you know what, Michael, the word fun, if you go through and you look at it, the application of ability is fun. And we remind our agents of that. The application of ability is fun. So yes, we want the fellowship. Yes, we want the good time. Yes, we want to feel, because it's so much of our life work integration. We want you to feel like you're having a great time when you're working the way that we do and the way that we bring things home. But we do remind our agents too that application of ability is really fun.
Well, that goes again back to the working genius piece of it, that you're gonna have a lot more fun if you're doing the stuff that you love to do.
Amen. Amen.
So awesome. Anything in particular you'd like to add before we wrap up? Anything?
Oh my gosh, you left it open.
Yeah, I did. Sorry.
No, I just I think for anyone in our industry that's listening, I just don't go and expand. Don't use the current environment that we're in, because the reality is we can sit here and talk doom and gloom. We can talk about how 2024 is the lowest home sales we've had in 30 years. And I guarantee you 2025 is going to beat out last year, despite the fact that we all sat in big rooms last year and they're like 20% bump next year. It's coming. I think that there's a natural tendency right now to withdraw. So I see less attendance at events when I travel. I see I don't see as many agents plugged in on Zoom masterminds. I don't see the collaboration that we all talked about during COVID showing up the same way. And I think it is the worst thing that you can do for your business right now, to isolate, to get onto little islands. And I always tell people I'm an open book. I would love to collaborate and share, find people and connect with them, and whether the market's good or bad, recognize the value in collaboration. So I appreciate the opportunity to talk and to kind of air out things that are going on in our business, because I think we need it more than we ever have.
Yeah.
We were really good at it during COVID when things were great. And I feel like a lot of agents have gotten very back into the weeds on their business.
Well, it's easy to get woe is me too, right?
Correct.
It's so easy. And then you just feed yourself these excuses,
Correct.
right? Because of, well, that person's doing that. Because I look at numbers all the time, right? I mean, I'm not really like a crazy numbers person, but I love to look at some of the data. And I hate to say it, but I definitely look at comparison of, you know, my production versus other folks either within our company or the market or whatever.
It's a natural tendency for a high achiever. How am I doing?
Yeah. And so I'm like, oh, I'm kicking that person's butt, or holy crap, that person is whipping my ass. What the hell's wrong with me, right?
Yes.
And so I created a mastermind within Fairway probably 3 or 4 years ago from like a President's Club trip. So I've got these folks all around the country that we come on once, and it's so phenomenal because we just share ideas about stuff that we're all doing within the same company because we all have the same tools.
Absolutely.
And it's been a huge help to all of our businesses. And in fact, our company actually has one they've created, and it's funny, I'm never on those. I've it's a long story, but one of my friends had gotten on there like, yours is way better. Let's just keep doing that. It's
Yeah.
like it's controlled by us versus the company trying to do
Yeah,
it anyway.
100%. Absolutely.
So,
And that's where I'm getting at too, is like agents can do so much more. Stop waiting to be fed from the top down. What we're seeing is, and we've always said that 80-20 rule, right? It applies everywhere. You get into the triangle real estate, I think the gap is expanding even more. There's a lot of business being done by a fewer subset of agents. That group of agents, I am telling you, we are collaborating. We are picking up the phones and we're asking, what are you doing? And we are sharing. So if you're finding yourself starting to slide down to that other side, it can be stopped. And it is with the phone calls and the conversations, just like the one that we're having. So an open altar call to please call me if you're struggling. Call somebody, because there is so much business to be had. And I think it is so important right now to be plugging into one another.
Awesome. Well, if you guys are watching this and listening to this, be sure and call Anna if you're having any challenges. She's happy to talk. She loves to talk, by the way. We have this conversation.
It's my working genius. I want to do it.
That's right. So thank you so much for being here. I've had a blast, and we're going to have a lot more fun after this with our Working Geniuses stuff. But thank you so much for being here. I can't wait to get this shared out there. Thank you all for listening or watching. I appreciate you guys being here and participating in this. Please be sure and comment, like, and subscribe. And certainly look forward to seeing you guys on the next Beyond the Closing Table.